This is the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge, and this is the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. Now, as you know, the S25 Edge was launched a little bit over a month ago, whereas the S25 Ultra was launched back in January. Now, side by side here, you can really see the differences in thickness between these two devices, with the S25 Edge, of course, being way thinner compared to the S25 Ultra. I think sometimes when you're just looking at the S25 Edge on its own, the device doesn't actually appear to be that thin, but when compared to another regular sized smartphone, it really does look a lot more slim in comparison. Another difference I noticed too is that with the S25 Edge, the corners are a lot more rounded compared to the S25 Ultra, which is certainly a bit more boxy. Now, both phones do technically still have rounded corners, it's just that with the S25 Edge, it is a bit more rounded in comparison. Another difference are the actual display sizes that we're getting here. So with the S25 Edge, we're getting a 6.7 inch display compared to a 6.9 inch display with the S25 Ultra. And I feel like that's also something that most people are not thinking about, that the S25 Ultra and Edge are actually pretty similar when it comes to display size. It's not like the S25 Edge is this super tiny phone, whereas the Ultra has this massive display. It really is literally the thickness of the two devices where we're seeing the biggest difference here. Now, what is cool though is that the S25 Edge does retain a lot of flagship features, despite this being a more futuristic, almost like an experimental device. They really have pretty much given us everything here with minimal compromises. Really, the biggest differences here is that we're losing the telephoto cameras with the S25 Edge, whereas we're actually getting two of those here with the S25 Ultra, with one being 3x zoom and then another being 5x zoom. This device does have a smaller battery at 3900 milliamp hours compared to a 5000 milliamp hour internal battery here with the S25 Ultra. And charging speeds are also slower at 25 watts versus 45 watts with the Ultra. Now, both of these phones actually feature the same processor, so they both come with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Elite. And then along with that, both phones do feature 12 gigabytes of RAM, which is certainly really good. And this is pretty interesting. I did run a benchmark test on both phones and I actually got a higher test score here with the S25 Edge compared to the S25 Ultra. Now, both phones perform obviously really well, with the S25 Ultra being one of the best performing Android phones from Samsung, but I think this is also a great example of how the S25 Edge doesn't compromise when it comes to performance. So I guess the biggest question is, which of the two phones do you go for? Obviously, we're getting other bonus features too, such as the S Pen here with the S25 Ultra, but if you are looking for a very sleek and slim smartphone that is basically one of a kind, then the S25 Edge might be the choice for you. Also keep in mind, when it comes to the base prices for both phones, they're actually pretty similar in price. The S25 Ultra is only $100 more than the S25 Edge, so I think for a lot of people that's also a very major deciding factor. It's not like for the compromises we're getting here with the S25 Edge, you're saving a lot of money compared to the Ultra, because you really are not. But on the other hand, the various bonus features that we're getting here with the Ultra might be features that aren't actually important to you. And if that's the case, then the S25 Edge might do the job and actually take care of everything that you need from a smartphone. Now, I also found it interesting how similar these phones actually appear. They are slightly different colors, but you can see both have a matte finish on the back, both also have glass on the backs. And then the camera modules do appear to be a little bit different here. Of course, obviously there's less cameras with the Edge, but then also we're not getting these black circles around the actual camera modules themselves. So I wonder if with the next generation of the S25 Ultra, we're actually going to be getting a camera module look that looks a little bit more like the S25 Edge. We'll have to see about that, and I'm curious to know what you think. But beyond that, both phones actually look very aesthetically similar. And I suppose since they're both part of the S25 family, that's why they didn't really make the Edge look too much different compared to the S25 Ultra. Another awesome thing about these phones is that both do have very fast and responsive fingerprint sensors, so that certainly works really well here. But I just want to make this quick comparison here between the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge and the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. I'm really curious to know what you think of these two devices and which one you'd prefer out of the two.